Hello friends, I have had a very long and hectic day, but I'm finally sitting down to do my pick a card reading for Tuesday. I have 3 cards I'm going to do this time, and I also added a little bit more tarot cards just to diversify the reading a little bit. I'm going to go through each card, so just really think about it, listen to the card and maybe what you might be going through, and then you can choose that pile, and then we can do a deeper dive into the reading behind that card. The first one I have here is gratitude. I live each moment with a presence of gratitude. So this is for people who might be struggling to feel grateful for things in their life. Maybe you might be feeling a bit negative about things or feel like you're always focusing on the negative. So this is your chance to learn a little bit more about like how you can be more grateful with your life and maybe what the positives of it could be. The second group is dream. My dreams reveal that magic is real and anything is possible. So this is for people who are having prophetic dreams. These are people who daydream a lot. These are for people who feel like their dreams have been crushed in some way. That'll be a reading for you. And then pile 3 I have here is shine. When I let others shine, I shine too. This is for people who are dealing with issues of maybe jealousy, maybe feeling like you're not part of the group, feeling left out, feeling like, especially when it comes to like sisterhood and womanhood, like maybe you feel like you're out of the group or something like that, that will be for you. So yeah, group 1 is gratitude, group 2 is dream, and group 3 is shine. So just take a second to figure out which one you want. And then I am going to dive into the group 1 reading. Gratitude. I live each moment with a presence of gratitude. So gratitude usually centers us, right? Whenever we take a moment to stop worrying so much about like what's in the future that hasn't happened yet, or what happened in the past that we didn't have control over, or if we did have any type of control, we gave it up for whatever reason, you know what I mean? Those who have done shadow work start to learn like kind of like how we've played a role sometimes in our own oppression, especially whenever we get into adulthood and we enter relationships that are not healthy for us, but we continue to perpetuate them and feed them because we just don't know any better. So, whenever you get focused on those things and you're not really feeling like, and you're really feeling down on yourself, sometimes it's hard. So this is going to be for people who maybe are doing shadow work and maybe you're struggling with like accepting these parts of yourself. And it's okay. Like we have these moments. It's a part of learning. It's a part of the human condition. We have moments of sadness. We have moments of suffering. And we also do sometimes fall victim to other people's perceptions or narratives or things. Like it's all lessons for us to learn, right? I also have, it is an experience being grateful and an ongoing practice. It's hard to feel grateful, right? I say this all the time, but so many people don't spend time sitting in happiness because they're so worried about the suffering that's going to come. And the reason I say that it's going to come is because we only have like 3 guarantees in life. We will experience happiness, we will experience suffering, and we will die. Those are 3 guarantees. And people expect the suffering and they're very quick to accept it. They're like, people like will just like wallow in agony for forever. But people don't accept the moments of happiness because they're scared of the suffering coming again. And so this is your reminder that both of them are of equal importance. You need to embrace like moments that feel good just as much as you sit in moments that feel sad. Because I'm not saying ignore the moments of suffering. They deserve your attention. But whenever you don't enjoy a moment, like whenever you're like a kid, like or a teenager, and something upsets you in the morning and you're crying about it and you're like, I'm not going to smile today. No one's going to be able to make me smile. And then by second period, you're laughing with your friends. That's normal. That's part of the human condition. You can be sad about what happened and you can also laugh with your friends. So I think what you might be missing is that like balance and that dynamic, you know what I mean? Also share gratitude with others. So let other people know that you feel grateful for them and try to help them whenever you can and things like that. I'm so glad I took a little break. I started to do this reading and I did this particular one twice and I felt so disconnected from it that I was just like speeding through it and I was just like, I don't feel like I'm doing something of value to people. So I went and took a little break and laid in the bed for a little bit and then now I came back and I'm like, whoa, I had a long day. But here's your reading. Okay. We have 3 of Pentacles here. So definitely working with other people for something tangible. This might be like a job situation, or it could be like a hobby or something like that. So maybe what you need to feel grateful is to kind of like, spend some time doing like a hobby that makes you feel good, or like helping somebody with something, or maybe even asking someone else for help. But definitely working with other people in some way can maybe help you with your gratitude. Like maybe you're spending too much time wallowing, like laying in bed and not like getting up and doing things, you know what I mean? And so just kind of like being a part of the collective and being part of a group and doing something with other people might like pull you out of your rut and could make you like feel more present in the moment and a little bit more grateful for just like being here and being alive and being in this moment, you know? I have the Magician here. So this tells me that you have the tools to be able to change your outcome. But the issue is sometimes feeling stagnant, you know? And it's important for you to take the tools that you have learned. Like what I'm thinking is like from your past, you know what I mean? Like as you've progressed as a person, what are the different things that you've learned, right? And how can you apply it to this like moment of destitution that you're feeling? You know what I mean? I have here Judgment. So I think that you are not only judging yourself, but you might be judging other people a little too much. I especially have that with collaborating with others. I get a feeling that you've been isolating yourself from other people. And so when you're carrying that judgment, it can also make you feel stagnant because you're not giving yourself the opportunity to move forward. And you might be worried about what other people think about you. I usually tell people this, who I can tell don't have room for compassion for other people. I'm like, maybe if you practice compassion for other people, you would have it for yourself. Because that's usually what it comes back to. Whenever people don't have empathy for children, I'm always like, their childhood was bad. That's not an excuse. It's not like, oh, poor them. It's more of just like, they haven't done the work. They haven't done the work it takes to get through what happens whenever you do have a crappy childhood. A lot of us have had one, you know? But some people, and that's not to say like that people's childhoods don't matter. That's just to say it as in like, we all have to do the work. You have to do the work to process what happened. And a lot of people don't. And so they're going to look at children who are struggling with something and they're going to judge them and devalue them and dehumanize them. You know, I've seen some people say some horrific things that have happened about things that have happened to children that were bad. The reason I struggled is because I don't want to say exactly what it is because they're horrible things. But people are just like, oh, well, they were weak or their parents were weak or like whatever. And it's just like, they were a child, you know? And we have to give ourselves grace. So you have to do that as well. Give yourself grace for the things that you could not control. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to your childhood. And maybe be grateful for the steps that you've taken to separate from that. You've already done some of the work. So it's important to feel grateful that you have done what you've done so far. And you can open yourself up to new relationships and new hobbies and new projects with that 3 of Pentacles and that Magician. You have that inside of you. You know, I have Page of Pentacles here. It's okay to be a student for a little bit, you know, especially whenever it comes to material things. I have a feeling that maybe you come from a impoverished background. So it's a real struggle for you about like how to work through your finances. That's a really common problem, especially with what's going on whenever like so much of our wealth is being hoarded by a small few people. So many people do not have this benefit that maybe people of the past very briefly had. I'm not even going to say it was for a long time because it really wasn't. The few have held onto our imaginary like worth of money and resources for so long. But so it's like, it's generational as well, right? So try not to judge yourself for where you currently are. Just try to keep learning and try to keep adjusting and try to keep like communicating with other people and working with other people and figuring out how to get by. And you don't have to do it alone. You can do it with others. I also have 5 of Wands here. So I feel like this is also part of what has kept you back is competition, feeling like you're in competition with other people. And whenever you get into that aspect and you don't try to, sorry, I'm getting like a weird neck's hurting. But I'm chronically ill. So I'm going to have aches and pains and things. So whenever we're looking at this competition aspect, it's also like that comparison, right? That constant comparison and that judgment that work together to keep you from feeling grateful for how far you've come and what you've done and what you've accomplished. That feeling of like financially not being where you want to be, you know, whenever it comes to your material possessions, you know, maybe you wanted the house, maybe you wanted the car, maybe, you know, you wanted like some basic humanity, and you feel maybe it's being stripped away from you by not having the opportunity to earn those things, right? I have 10 of Cups here. This tells me this is what you want, right? Blessings, divine love, family, harmony, alignment, and bliss. I feel like that's what you really want. And I can see that in your future. I'm putting it here over next to the Magician, the Grateful card, and that competition, right? So releasing that judgment and giving ourselves the power to step forward into who we're meant to be is really what I'm getting here for, that energy working together. I have Mars on here multiple times. I have Mars in Capricorn with that 3 of Pentacles. So that tells me to be practical as well about like how you're moving forward and to kind of like learn from the setbacks that you get. You know, I'm getting that as well here. I have 6 of Swords, transition, moving on, change. So I feel like this is a huge change for you. You've already maybe started to do the work to separate from this like past experience. And maybe that's part of what's like making you struggle to feel grateful. I have that here with, you know, the Grateful card, and then I have that here with Judgment. So maybe as you're unpacking your past, you're maybe thinking about things that you've done that you do not feel very proud of. And so it's really like hurting you emotionally to like think about these things. And I just want to remind you to have compassion. You know what I mean? You're in life, you're going to meet lots of people who do have similar pasts to you. There are plenty of people who have escaped bad situations and they've done what they needed to do to survive, you know? So, and that's not to say like what your experience isn't important, but it's just a reminder that you're not alone. There are other people who experience these things and go through these hardships, you know? And some people turn out certain ways and some people turn out different ways. So it's really about like making choices, and this choice to leave is part of your passage. It's part of your next transition into life. You're letting it go. And whenever you release it, release the judgment you hold for yourself as well. I have Queen of Swords reversed. This is a warning. Do not be cold-hearted, cruel, bitter, resentful, and do not like go into isolation, because whenever we do this, we become more resentful. Oh yeah, that's right over the 3 of Pentacles and the Page of Pentacles. So if you want to create some sort of foundation and have these material things that you want, you're going to have to work with other people. And you can't do that if you live in isolation. And you can't do that if you're negative towards other people and push people away. Like, you're just not going to be able to have success in life if you look at things that way. So you're really going to have to kind of like swallow your pride and forgive yourself and stop judging yourself so much. And stop judging others so much as well. You know what I mean? Especially if it's over petty things. Like, sure, if they did something horrible, don't talk to them. But if you're like finding yourself nitpicking and looking for things because you just want to vilify other people so that you can feel comfortable being alone, then like that's not serving you in the long run. And so I think that this daily gratitude will end up serving you. So every day, take a moment to be a little bit grateful about something small in your life. Maybe list 5 things, maybe list 10 things, something like that. If you can only think of one thing, that's fine. Do your one thing. Every single day, I'm grateful for my dog and my husband. Every single day. You know, I'm also grateful for this house. But there's that aspect of like, not every day are you going to have these things. You know what I mean? Like today, I feel good that I was able to go do my appointments and I didn't feel sick and I felt okay. I did get tired, but overall I felt pretty good. But on other days I won't have that. There are some days where I can't get up out of bed at all because of my chronic illnesses. So it's like your give and take of like what feels good and what doesn't, the happiness and suffering balance, right? Some people can't accept happiness because they're too worried that suffering will come. But the opposite doesn't really seem to happen as often, right? There aren't very many people that are like, oh, it's going to get better tomorrow. You know, like sometimes you meet people like that, but for the most part, that's not how our brain works. We get so worried and wrapped up with what's negative and we get so afraid that we're not living our lives. So that's my message to you for today, group 1. Now I'm going to move on to group 2. If you chose group 2, you chose dream. My dreams reveal that magic is real and anything is possible. I also wrote here, masters of boundless possibility. Support your dreams and believe they will happen. It takes bravery to pursue your dreams. So this is somebody who maybe you feel like your dreams are like not really manifesting, and maybe they're not even possible because of what has been going on just like globally in general. And so this reading is for you. I have 4 of Wands here, so I think it's important to remember to celebrate where you've come from and how far you what's it called, like just like the successes that you've had so far, you know what I mean? And maybe that's part of this dream aspect too. Like you don't want to let this thing go because you know that you've achieved a lot, and you don't want to just like forget that, you know? I have Ace of Swords here. It says discipline and achievement. So I think it's important for you to keep pushing forward with this aspect. I think that you might be having to learn something new, and maybe that's kind of throwing you off a little bit as you're going to have to learn this new thing. I also am kind of getting this association with like language having to do with it. Like maybe, not necessarily maybe like a whole new actual language, but maybe just like the language of this new thing that you want to do or you need to get deeper into, or something like that is what I'm really getting into here. And maybe that's what's been holding you back too, is maybe you didn't feel like you were ready, but now you're at a place where you feel like you are more ready with that 4 of Wands energy. I have Queen of Pentacles, sensual, it says rejecting, homebody, and sensitive. And so I get the feeling that maybe you are somebody who usually does stay at home. I usually think of Queen of Pentacles though, a little bit of like somebody who like understands what's going on, like financially, like they got it good, you know what I mean? Not necessarily like everything's going good for them, but in the way of like they can always figure it out. It's like, I'm good, you know, they got their schedule figured out. Like that's kind of what I'm getting from this right here. So I get the feeling that like I get the feeling that you are like so confident, but maybe it's because like you're somebody who's like having these like prophetic dreams. You're probably a very intuitive person. And then to also continue to believe in those dreams despite like it not fitting into our capitalistic society or whatever it might be. There's that like definitely like that internal like confidence where you're like, I'm more sure of like what I want to do. You know, it's that bravery that I was talking about earlier. So this is your reminder to not work yourself way over. This is 10 of Wands. Do not like, don't try to do everything by yourself. Okay. Yeah, we'll get more on that in a second. And then we also have here 7 of Pentacles. So I think that it's time to plant seeds. So I kind of get the feeling that you want to just like go from 0 to 100, you know, or something like that. Maybe this is a shift and a change. Maybe you've achieved a lot with that 4 of Wands energy. So now you're at like a transitional phase, and there's this like dream you've always had, but you just felt like you couldn't do it for whatever reason. And so it's like this new path, and you're gonna have to learn a lot, like the Ace of Swords. And so, but since you have like that, you have that confidence and that like assuredness in yourself with that Queen of Pentacles, you know what I mean? You just kind of like want to jumpstart it. You're like, I want to get there, but I get the feeling that you're going to have to like reel it back a little bit, and you really need to focus on planting the seeds for long-term growth and not think so much about how it's just going to happen overnight, because I get the feeling that that's just like, it's just not going to happen that way. And you're going to end up overworking yourself like so bad. So you need to take things at a little bit of a slower rate. I have 2 of Swords here. So you're definitely at some type of like crossroads where like each decision sucks. Maybe you don't want to work at your job anymore, but you're not sure which way that you should go. Or maybe you have been laid off and then you have like saved up some of your money and you're like, should I start this new career path? And you could. I'm definitely getting that you could, but I think just try not to do everything all at once is definitely the vibe I'm getting. So yeah, you kind of have these 2 decisions that are difficult. I'm seeing the moon as a symbol on here. And so I'm getting the feeling that that means like maybe look into your emotions a little bit more and think about like what exactly you want, and think about like what would make you unhappy. Like if these 2 situations, like both of them are difficult, which one would make you more unhappy? Don't do that one. I have 9 of Cups here. So wish fulfillment, luxury, satisfaction, success, and gratitude. There's also Jupiter on this card. So this tells me that there's expansion for you for sure. And you've probably already kind of reaped the benefits of some of the hard work you've put in with that 4 of Wands we got right up front. So, and it's here with the Dreams card and with the Queen of Pentacles card. So from that confidence that you've had and kind of like that, like gaining of knowledge, or not gaining of knowledge, but like the gaining of that material thing is going to really help you with your wish fulfillment. So you are going to get what you want. I really get the vibe and the feeling that you are going to get what you want. You're just going to have to really worry about overworking yourself. I also have King of Pentacles reversed. And so this is going to go over the overworked card here, the Nine of Wands, and the Four of Wands. So celebration and overworking yourself. This King of Pentacles reversed is financially inept, stubborn, greed, indulgence, and sensuality. So this is telling you to also not just blow your money really fast either. I get the feeling that like you're really excited about this new different aspect and you're not anticipating that how hard it's going to actually be. So you want to go like full throttle into this, but then you're going to end up hurting yourself in the process. So this is kind of like a warning to reel things back a little bit. I do think that you're going to get what you want in the end, but it's just that you're going to have to deal with a lot more situations that are difficult. If I'm going to dive a little deeper into that Two of Swords as well, I kind of placed it on top of the Ace of Swords and the Seven of Pentacles. So that tells me that that Two of Swords, indecision, it does have to do with like planting those seeds and starting something new. So it's kind of going to be like, maybe you have two options and none of them are that great, and you know, or something like that. And so you're really like struggling to decide what to do. But, I think it's important for you to maybe take the time and think about it a little bit more if you have the time for that. If not, like definitely go the route that you think would not be as detrimental is kind of what I'm getting, because with that Two of Swords, you know what I mean? And definitely look into your heart with like what decision you want to make. So that was group 2. That was your reading. It overall looks pretty positive, I think, but it's just that issue of trying to go too fast, right? So yeah, that's the end for group 2. I'm going to go move on to group 3. Okay, if you chose group 3, then you chose shine. When I let others shine, I shine too. And so I have here, did it do it good? Okay. I wrote here, celebrate our differences while strengthening our inherent similarities. I have that for whenever it comes to women. Oh yeah, I have here, women all over the world are rising up, shining brighter and letting their voices be heard. So the reason I said that this might have to do with sisterhood is that association with the card. I think a lot of women who feel in competition and feel like they're isolated and feel like they don't really get along with other people, a lot of them do have that like lack of sisterhood and that lack of like feeling like as if you belong with other women. And you do. There are women like you. I want to tell every woman that there are other women like you. The not like other girls narrative is usually used to separate us from each other and do that comparison stuff. And it plays into like the mean girl narrative. You know what I mean? Whenever we're growing up, and the mean girls usually want to be like you. They want to be like the not like other girls. You know, you hang out with boys and they're like, oh wow, she's so cool, I'm gonna hate her. We need to not play into that, right? Because then you end up playing into it on the other side where you start being like, women are not safe for me. Whenever it's like, there are other women like you, they exist, they're there, you know? So you just have to really believe it. And you can celebrate the fact that you were different from other women, you know? Oh my gosh. And I just put this shirt on today. This is a shirt I designed. I am like other girls. I do that because we have to have that reminder. I've been told personally like that I'm not like other girls when I was growing up. And then even by my female friends a lot, like my women friends, you know, we'll be hanging out and they'll say something like, you're one of the most sane women I've ever met, or like, you know, something like that. And I'm always like, I'm not the only woman like me. There are other women like me. You could be like me too, you know? Because I think also sometimes that is used to just excuse away bad behavior as well. Like if you don't want to control your emotions and you want to just throw fits and act like however, and then be like, it's because I'm a woman, that's not serving you. And it plays into the patriarchy. So I didn't mean to start this up front with a lecture, but I just really, really believe in this. And if you needed to hear it, then you're hearing it, you know? I have here, you are a vital part of this. So it's very important for you to continue to help each other and help other women and form that sisterhood. Admiring others is a direct reflection of your own beauty. So instead of feeling jealousy towards someone, recognize that you're admiring them in some way. Like, wow, this person is able to wear this out in public, or they're really good at this thing, or like whatever. And that admiration is a reflection of like the type of person you can be as well. You just got to do it in your own way. You know what I mean? Encourage others and yourself, and comparison is toxic. Okay. So right here we have Ace of Pentacles. I feel like you're being presented with an opportunity, and maybe you're nervous about it because it does involve maybe like other women, and maybe you're worried or something like that, or it's some like new aspect of yourself that you're not really sure of at this moment. And then I have Five of Pentacles here. And so I think the situation might be coming from a hardship maybe. I think also maybe, yeah, it says poverty, hardship, longing. So like it's something that you like really, really want. So maybe it hasn't been offered to you yet, but maybe it's just something you really want. And maybe you see that other people are getting it and it's making you feel like jealous inside, because it's like, why can't I have it? Why can't that good thing happen to me? And so this card is kind of reminding you to, what's it called? Whenever we think of like when I let others shine, right? To feel happy for that person and proud of that person, and know that good things are coming for you too. You know what I mean? Instead of being jealous and wanting what they have, try to think about how you can have a positive future for yourself. I have Strength here. You're a very strong person. So none of this in any of this reading I'm saying is like any sort of weakness on you. I think it just comes from your experiences. You've been burned too many times. And so you're having a really difficult time just like conceptualizing a life where I'm thinking of that Smith song, Please, Please, Please Let Me Get What I Want. And the lyrics are like, he's never had a good thing happen to him. Please let this one good thing happen this one time. I feel like that's how you feel inside. But you are actually incredibly strong. I'm not saying that song is weak or that people feel that way. I love that music because it's such an expression of how we feel inside, like our like just humanity of like feeling lonely or feeling like we don't fit in or like whatever. But I also get the feeling too with the Strength card that sometimes you might cut yourself off from other people because you want to present yourself as like very strong, and you don't have to prove to anybody how strong you are, especially if like you have been burned by people. I'm getting like an idea in my head right now of like going into a work situation where people are rude because they want to see how far they can push you and figure out where the line is. Both genders do that for sure. That's something that bothers me as well. I don't like that type of behavior, but the important thing is that if you find yourself falling into that similar behavior of like trying to prove something, then like you're missing the point, right? And you're wasting your energy is what I'm getting as well. I have the Moon here. Intuition, dream work, shadows, and sensitivity. And so I'm getting the feeling here that this might be emotional for you. And I think it's really important as well because you have two major arcana cards beside each other here. And so I think this is part of your destiny. You're meant to kind of like learn this lesson. That strength also comes from being intuitive and accepting your emotions a little bit more. Maybe you were taught to bottle them up and be strong and show people how strong you were. And then now you're kind of in this position of like realizing that like it hurts to be strong all the time, you know? And that's what they say too about like trauma is like it makes you stronger. And it's like in a way, but it's also like it sucks. It sucks to go through that. I remember whenever we got close to our 30s and things were like changing, or, you know, we got to the end of our 20s and things were kind of like changing for me and my husband whenever it kind of came to like our visions of the future. And I was just like, man, I understand now people saying that your 20s is hard, but it didn't need to be that hard, you know? And it's like, that's where it like kind of comes down to is it's just like, it hurts and it's hard to just keep going. I also have like here on this card at the top, you see path 19, and then up here you see path 29. And so I'm going to say that repetitive 9 with like, but 10 numbers down the road, you know? I would say that shows like how much progress you've had. Maybe you were somebody who never showed your emotions and now you're kind of like getting more in tune with your emotions and kind of like accepting yourself a little bit more. I have the Chariot here. So this is like Cancer, the sign. But this is also about like moving forward and wanting to like overcome something, especially whenever it's connected to this like Five of Pentacles here, the poverty and the struggling. So I get this like feeling that you really, really just want to like move out of that mind state that you've lived in your whole life. You really just want to like get to the next level and like stop being like held back in life, which is very admirable. And it's good to keep doing that. But it's going to be important as well to celebrate other people's wins and know that the wins are coming for you next. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh, the moon here came up again. So a lot of emotions are happening here with this. I also have Neptune on this card, so that kind of reminds me of like using dream work. So that might be important for you to use dream work in this situation to learn more about like how to pursue your dreams. You know what I mean? It says risk, caution, and confusion. Okay. You might need to consider your emotional, like, you might need to consider your emotions whenever it comes to getting out of this financial situation. I get the feeling that this might be actually like the core of it. You really, really want to get out of this situation that you feel like you're stuck in, especially financially. I'm feeling like maybe you're stuck in like a living situation you can't move out of or something like that. I have Two of Wands reversed. Says personal goals, fear of the unknown, and lack of planning. So this is like a warning not to try to push too far too fast, because then you might not be able to get what you want out of this. And that's with our main card here, the let others shine, and then also that strength. So I think it's important for you to kind of like, let me think about this for a moment. How to shift is basically what I'm getting. I'm feeling like you're not making decisions when it comes to this. Maybe you feel so frozen with where you are that you're not making a choice to move forward. And maybe you're doubting your strength, even though it's been a huge part of your personality for a long time. And maybe that's where this emotional aspect is coming into. Maybe you're having some sort of awakening where you're realizing you're not who you thought you were, is what I'm getting here. And the last card I have here is Judgment reversed. Doubt, self-loathing, criticism, and stunted growth. So you really got to watch out for this, like judging yourself. This was in the other reading as well, in reading 2. But the idea of judgment, right? Like whenever we judge other people, we judge ourselves. And I usually tell people this, I said it in the past reading, but whenever you're able to show compassion for other people, you can show compassion for yourself. So I think that this jealousy you might be feeling is that lack of self-worth inside. I mean, that's usually what they say, right? And so if you're able to work to heal that internal part of yourself, and you do it through working with other people, being happy for them. I have that card over the Ace of Pentacles. So like this new opportunity or like this new like world or something that you want to be a part of. And then the intuition and dream work. I really think that you should do some shadow work for sure is what I'm getting here. And shadow work is looking into your past and accepting the things that you could not change or control, and maybe how you might have played into certain things. And any sort of like anything that you like might feel shame for, or the conditioning that other people have put onto you as well. It's kind of like going through those different things. It's really hard to explain it super quick. I would look into shadow work, but it's kind of like going through those different things and forgiving yourself and accepting yourself, and maybe even going back through your childhood and pinpointing moments that you feel like might have contributed to those future decisions, and just like working to heal the inner child in those moments. I would look up inner child healing. I think that will be really important for you. And through all of this work, you'll be able to slowly release judgment of yourself, and it'll help you with not feeling so judgmental of other people as well. Because you'll start to kind of realize everybody has their own story, everybody has their own issues and things, even if sometimes what it seems like they're going through is not as much as what you've gone through. And you know, if you compare things all day, there's always someone else who's had it harder, you know, if we really sit down and compare everybody's lives. So it's important not to focus so much on that, and focus instead on like how you can release judgment from yourself, and how you can work through these like emotions you're feeling. Getting the moon twice is like very emotional. And so I think this is really like the peak for you. And we do have a new moon coming up. So maybe that might be, and it's an eclipse. So I think that might be something for you to work through as well. It'll also be in Pisces. No, it won't. We're in Aries season. I'm sorry. The new moon is going to be in Aries. But that also is still good though, because Aries is the start of the zodiac, and that gives you like that fiery, like starting energy, you know. We're starting over the astrology like calendar. So that will give you like some momentum and that push to start making these big different changes in your life and kind of like start working out of these situations you don't want to be in. So yeah, that's what I have for group 3. Good luck. And yeah.